Welcome everybody. A look at one of the latest releases from Radiance Films, and it is 1973's Through and Through. So this is a Polish language film, Polish made film as well. So I do apologise if I'm going to butcher any of the names in this film. It's not on purpose. So this is directed by Gregor Krolowinks, Krolikiewicz. We're not seen anything else from before, and it's a crime drama clocking in at 74 minutes long. So yeah, I do apologise for butchering his name. The only person I've seen in anything out of this is Lucina Winica, who was also in The Silent Star, which is one of those sci-fi films that Eureka released a few months back. So Jan and Maria meet at a party and are immediately drawn to each other. Their difficult financial situation and the scorn of society inflicted on them push them to breaking point, and culminating in a string of murders. So, despite the premise of this being right up my street, it is unfortunately the experimental execution, though respectable, that didn't quite work enough for me to make the most of that premise. This is due to the likes of the narrative structure having time leaps forward, so you don't really see our two leads getting romantically involved or anything like that. It just suddenly leaps to them getting married, and then you see them struggling to, hold on to jobs and such. There's a general lack of dialogue, extended scenes that are rather repetitive and mundane, and to show that it is really rather quite experimental, there's a court scene towards the end that only features a dialogue from our lead character, so you only have their side of the conversation. You're not hearing what the judges or prosecutor or anything like that are saying. So yes, elements like that that do detach me from the film itself. That said, the cinematography is excellent. It looks great in the black and white format that it is in. The atmosphere is effective. The cast is good. The mix of styles works, as we have some camera work that looks almost like semi-documentary style, but then we also have some of the cinematography that feels like it's from a silent film, and then more ordinary, like more like film noir stuff. And the pacing is decent. I just wish it was more engaging and there weren't quite so many annoying scenes, such as the party scene at the beginning, mainly due to the many overlapping voices that the subtitles can't possibly convey. So a lot of it is just in Polish and I don't understand a word of it. So it is really rather quite detached in that regard. And then there's a bell ringing scene in particular that is not only overly long, as it is, like I said, repetitive and mundane, but incredibly annoying, with the sound being headache inducing, as the sound quality in that scene, as you might expect, seemingly is overwhelming the microphones that are being used or whatever is being used to pick up the sound, as it's really rather quite peaking. So I had to turn it right the way down, and yeah, it just really wasn't, working for me at all on that level. So unfortunately, as much as I respect this for trying to do things differently and break cinematic conventions and such, it's not something that was highly satisfying or particularly as engaging as I would have hoped. So unfortunately, I'm only going to give it 3 out of 5. Didn't hate it, but didn't love it, and it's certainly not a film that I imagine I'm going to be revisiting anytime soon. But I'm sure there's people out there that really do like their experimental films, so they may well get more out of it. But for me personally, this felt like the 1970s version of A Ghost Story, in that it's trying new things, but just not really working for me at all. So yeah, but we do have a booklet with this release with a couple of shots from the film. Like I said, the black and white cinematography in this is excellent. And inside we have cast and crew, and then we have Altered States, the cinema of the director by Ella Bittencourt, and then transfer notes and credits. So, as well as certain shots from the film as well, as shown in the following. So yeah, that's a wedding scene which we quite suddenly jump to, and suddenly they're getting married. So you don't have any of that typical romantic build up, which isn't a bad thing at all. I have no issues with the narrative structure leaving gaps and such like that, but has to leave gaps while also being satisfying in its own right, and it's just not the case, unfortunately. And yeah, then we have the disc with reversible sleeve artwork with the original Polish title on it. And on the disc itself, we've got a new 2K restoration supervised by cinematographer Bogdan Jaworski. And the 2K looks excellent. Like I said, the cinematography, the black and white format, all looks absolutely great. They got uncompressed mono PCM audio, a new interview with critic Mikhail Mikhail Oilowicz. Again, probably butchering that. And that's from 2025, clocking in at 38 minutes long. And then we have 3 short films by the director. Everyone Gets What They Don't Need from 1968, clocking in at 12 minutes long. Brothers from 1971, clocking in at 7 minutes long. And Don't Cry from 1972, clocking in at 10 minutes long. Not yet gotten around to those. I've got a lot of Polish short films to get around to. In fact, we've got that essential Polish animation release that has like 27 of them. I've just not gotten around to all of them yet. But I'll get around to those at some point. And then we've got the reversible sleeve artwork and newly commissioned artwork by Time Tomorrow, and then that booklet that I've shown you already. So yeah, not an awful film by any means, and I'm sure there's plenty of people, like I said, that will get more out of it than I have, but me personally, I didn't find it to be all that enjoyable, and yeah, certainly wasn't as straightforward as the premise might well have alluded to, which isn't to say that that is a bad thing. You know, a premise can obviously be done in many different kinds of ways, but me personally, I was expecting it to be a little bit more straightforward in certain regards, whereas this, yeah, there was just one too many experimental elements added on top of one another to make it as engaging as it could have been. So, yeah, a little bit of a shame, but you know, that's why I have taken a part of this Radiance Films membership from July to December, is to try out new films that I might well otherwise not have bothered with. And sometimes that's going to be a success, sometimes it's not, but otherwise it is well worth it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what else they're going to bring out in the future. But nonetheless, thank you for watching. If you have seen this film before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.